Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Good to see you on a early Sunday morning. For those that are catching up on replay mode or whatever else you want to watch it on, welcome in, of course. I hope you had a fantastic week, and I hope that the streams have been good so far and you've been enjoying them. Seems like I'm getting a good amount of support from people, and it seems like people are enjoying them. So yeah, thank you for that. And today we're going to be doing a standard sort of sector flight, but from two things really. Well, one, the airport we're flying from is new. Can't pronounce it, but it's in Slovenia, the capital. The first time I've flown from here, we are flying to Nice, which I've flown to before. And secondly, because we're going to be doing full checklists from startup preliminary checklists to shutdown checklists using a new feature called a new plugin called X Checklist. So last night I did a delivery job overnight delivering the Citation X, which is here. As you can see, this particular Citation X to this airport. So we did that flight last night, and I thought it was a good opportunity to start the flight to use the X Checklist plugin prior to today. And actually, what I found was it was pretty useful and saved me making errors along the way, although it was a bit slow and it was missing one or two items, but that is absolutely fine. I think those items were common sense anyway. So you probably add them on. This is a checklist for the Citation X, which has been downloaded from the X-Plane forums. Yeah, completely free. You do need the X Checklist plugin to use it, but the X Checklist plugin is also free. So yeah, once you've installed the plugin or extracted the plugin to your X-Plane plugins folder, it will appear in the plugins menu. As you can see, checklist. Now if you go across right to checklists, you'll see that the one that I've downloaded for the Citation X is actually now available, and it's not saying Citation X either, which I like. It's saying all the checklist names, so that it makes it more realistic. So what I do is I go on to what I did last night on the initial test was preliminary. Now the lady's voice, let me just leave it a sec. Okay, let's hop in the cockpit. Okay, so there's a few things on that list which are sort of quick to check off because it should be that way anyway when you get into a plane. And we're going to keep the yoke visibility off today for the checklists, these for the startup. The reason why it takes a little bit longer, I think, is because the lady reads them out. She is the co-pilot, so the one thing about the checklist you'll notice is if you go on to setup, turn co-pilot on, that option was already checked off and already ticked prior to me using it. She's not actually a visible co-pilot, it's just the voice, but it still gives you the impression of having a co-pilot on board rather than the impression that it's simply a AI tool, because the co-pilot would go through the checklist with you like this and you would read it off, or more likely it would be the captain and the co-pilot would say, if the captain would say aircraft doors and the co-pilot would say they're open, etc. Although these are unspoken checks at the moment, but it would be when we get into like pre-startup and start and things where let me show you on the chat list. So when we get down to the pre-flight procedures, this is where the co-pilot and captain start to communicate with one another properly. Of course, cockpit, all these prior flight things can be completed without communication, although of course it's very important. So what we're going to do, we're going to work for the checklist to talk you through it now. Because it's a little bit slow, I noticed on takeoff and times when you need to do things quicker and the workload increases, you do need to get through the checklist quicker. So she might say it, and I've probably already done it if it's on takeoff. And that will be because we're flying a plane, obviously, so we need to be quick about it. And the same thing about landing, we'll have to be quick on the landing as well. So we're going to get started. We're going to start with the battery power. ACAS switch on. Okay, so electric 24. We're going to refuel now. I have a flight plan. And what this does actually, this plugin, it gives me an aviation tablet available. Not available, I had aviation tablet as another plugin, but because I'm using the X checklist now for the checklists, I don't have to use the charts for it, which is what I did with a custom checklist that I had. So now I'm free to use the chart section to go on to my flight plan, which is a lot better. And of course, to look at that instead. So there's the flight plan, I hope. No, that's London to Zurich. We want this one. That London to Zurich was last night. I was delivering the aircraft. So, yeah, now that the tab is available to look at the flight plan, which means we can look at it all together on screen now. You should be able to see that. I don't think there's going to be any issues capturing this data on the stream, that is. So yeah, we can have a quick look at the fuel balance, which we need. We only need 2,300 kg, and as I said before, the Citation X does have it in pounds, but the iOS is kg, which is handy. So we want 2,346. We've already got enough on board, so we don't need to change that. So we just tick that. So it doesn't look like there's any imbalance. Off. It would also be cool if we could speed this up a bit and speed the checklist up. I suppose the quickest way to do it would be to turn the co-pilot off. However, for the sake of showing you what the X checklist is, for a completely free plugin by the way, and it's working very well, and I like this display here. This is easy to read, this is green, so it's nice and bright, so it makes it a bit more realistic. But if you want to speed it up, you want to act like solo pilot, just simply turn the co-pilot off, I think, and then you can just take them off manually. But for the citation, it's going to be a Citation X, that is. It's going to be a 2-pilot crew. So we want better weight and balance. In the past, I've used an average weight of 60 to 65 kg. And sometimes on the FMC, it would only show a couple of passengers when I had like 8 here. The reason is I've not been putting the weights in properly. So 170 pounds is about 77 kg. So we should be about there for one person. So obviously it's now going to show up in the FMC. So we want about 140, 180, sorry. Between 170 and 180, all around there for 2 people. Which is a lot. There's a lot of people. That's actually incorrect. My estimate is 860. It's early morning. Mathematics is not working. Yeah, so we actually have a full aircraft. So 4 people on. She is running ahead of me. So we want 10 people on. Check. Battery switches back on. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to click on anyway, even though it isn't. Left generator and right generator on. On. Avionics coming alive. Okay, fuel boost. So this is very similar to the startup I usually do, to be honest. Just a few differences in it. Okay, this is a new one that I don't usually do, so it's definitely a good thing to do if you want to do a realistic checklist. Well, there's going to be 1 or 2 things missing. So fade deck is down here, and that's for the engine control. Okay, so do the same on that, reset and then normal. Normal. Check. On. Okay, I think it was the emergency lights over here. This is one thing they don't talk through on the checklist, and certainly don't talk through the master interior master either, but it would probably be a good idea to turn that on at this point, and to turn the emergency lights on. Well, this will illuminate the exit lights here, which you want on. That should be on. That's from another checklist that I read and used. So center wing transfer, both to normal. Oh, right, my mistake. Okay, so maybe it was just last night I wasn't paying attention, but it might be in that one. I'm pretty sure last night they didn't come up with emergency lights on that checklist. But we've tested it, we've put it on, and now we're going to arm it. Check, we got lights as needed. Automatic, of course. Reset that. Reset that. Okay, time to warm the windows up. It is a 20-degree day today. And I put windshield air on as well. Okay, auxiliary pump for pressurize the hydraulics. Okay, now we're going to probably cycle. Yeah, so we're cycling the parking brake with pressure in the hydraulics off and then on again. Yeah, cycling is a normal thing in aircraft procedures. So seat belts, lights. In the past, I have been using seatbelt lights, but actually passenger safety might be more appropriate because that would suggest that we have to stay in our seats, but light simply illuminates them. Okay, so that's a recognition light down here. Pre-start up procedure here. Right, I'm not too sure about that. It is daytime. We don't really need the tail flood light on in daytime, so I'm gonna just take that off. Okay, we want that both on high pressure. Okay, we've set the co-pilot. We're going to turn them up a little bit. APU master switch. Okay, we'll hold down until it starts. Yeah, so it does take a while to get this checklist done, but it gives us time to do other things like learn the procedure properly is one of them. Secondly, it will tell us when to give our ATC calls, which is good. APU generator. Oh no, the APU stops. We've got an issue with the APU, have we? Not this early in the flight, I hope. I don't know why that's gone off. Why has that gone off? Oh god. Early flight, no failures. Right, I think the APU has just gone dead, everybody. Let's restart it. I don't know why that was. I think I may have clicked off by accident. Okay, we'll get that restarted. Apologies. APU generator and then max cool bleed air. Okay, cockpit packs coming on. Cabin packs. We're going to set the temperature nice and low. set it down. So that's one item that could have on the checklist. To set the cockpit temperatures and set it to whatever we want it. Okay, time to get the ATIS information. So we're on VATSIM, of course. There is no ATIS information. There's nobody available. We're going to make do with the flight plan. This is where the flight plan comes in handy as well, because we need to check the QNH, of course. I'm going to check a few other things, like the route. Modro 1 Zulu departure. I think I have that written down from runway 30. Yeah, 1 Zulu departure. And we want the ATIS QNH. You usually find it takeoff data, so 1023. We don't actually have to set that yet, we just need to know what it is. So 1023, and I'll bear that in mind until we get to it on the relevant checklists. ATC delivery request, so we just pretend they've given us a squawk code. Again, the squawk code thing will be on the checklist somewhere, but I'm not going to wait, because obviously when you get delivery clearance, you should be tuning it in pretty much immediately. Okay, FMC, we're going to set the FMC up, load, and we're going to load a flight plan. It's not available, give me a second everybody. I think I might have made a boo-boo on the flight plan. Downloaded it somewhere, just have to get it up on the computer. Flight plan downloaded. Flight plan downloads from simbrief.com and go down to explain 12. There's no need to use the Zebo mod 737 one, just download it straight to your explain FMS folder, and that works for all aircraft. Okay, so that should be loaded. It's a simple process, takes a little bit of time. And with this checklist, it's probably going to be a long startup procedure in general, so we don't really have to rush. It just makes it nice and relaxing. It's a Sunday morning, 9 o'clock here in the UK. Really scorching weekend, so it'd be good to do more of these in the future. So let's activate that. Let's do our departure. Mod 1 Zulu. Activate that. Let's check. So initial altitude about 6,000 to 9,000 until Modro. Right, not much on there. And then of course we're going up to 45,000 today for the cruise. That's saying 110,000 feet. I don't know what world this FMC is in, but it ain't in reality, because that's never going to happen. Anyway, we need to do our arrival. Oh, it has actually worked on the arrival. Now we're going to initialize our position, so I'm going to change this climb out speed to 210. Step increment can probably be about 1,000 feet a minute, or 1,000 will be alright. Transition altitude, we can make a best guess. There's other aircraft in the vicinity. Let's have a look on the map. There, someone else just departed from the airport. Anyway, we go on the airport. Now, transition level is actually there, so 10,500 feet. That's for the altitude. Transition level, we'll just put that in. Let me show you, actually. Let me show you what they put. So, transition level, flight level 115. So, we're going to put that one in. 10,500, because that's the altitude we need for the transition. And then we're actually going back up to 45,000 today, which is concerning. The flight we did the other day barely made it, but hopefully with the checklist we can not make mistakes. Okay, we've done 5 degrees of flaps. We didn't need that. We needed 15 takeoff. Make sure you check these speeds. And then confirm the flaps, because otherwise you won't be able to get the V speeds. So we have a VNR of 190, so about 132 there. We're going to be rotating 126, that's absolutely fine. Looks all normal. One cool feature actually, I don't know if it just popped up, was performance data. Did it show you? Yes, it does. Passengers. So 10 at 170, because we've calculated the weight of each passenger correctly now. We know that it's 77 kg or above. is the standard weight. Although, to be honest, that is a bit heavy. It might be that for Americans, but for the rest of the world, 70 kg is more than enough for an adult as the maximum weight. Predicted weight, that is. So, aircraft doors, let's get the doors closed. Disconnected. Okay, this is interesting. We've got the rotary test, which is this small circle down here with all the warnings. So we do the rotary test. So far, so good. It's passing everything. We're more concerned about the enunciations than we are about the noises. Overspeed. Okay, the angle of attack. It deployed the slats, but it didn't do the stall warning. Okay, is that normal? So sometimes that angle of attack thing is hit or miss. Sometimes it will do the shaker, sometimes it won't. I don't know if that's a fail. As far as I'm aware, the iOS is showing no failures, so it should work as programmed. Anyway, we want to see the enunciation. There we go. So perhaps you have to do enunciation first, but it is a bit hit and miss in general. Anyway, auxiliary pump, resetting these slats. Yeah, retracted. So you notice a lot of charging and depressurizing of the hydraulics. Okay, we're going to select FMS because we've got the program programmed in. Check. Okay, flight level change. So on this as well, I know that the nose up and nose down would change the speed, but there must be a way to change the vertical speed on the FMC as well, because that will change that one. It says 180, but it will change on things like climb. So 210. We're setting 180 for flight level change. We'll have to wait and see if it works. 180 on. Okay, Mac trim. I've don't usually set this, but we set it on. Okay, we set that on. Set. Okay, standby. Let's put the active frequency 122.8. That would help. Heading set to runway. So we've got runway 30. It looks like we're not programmed to the heading. So let's go ahead and do that. That's a good checklist item. Altitude. Okay, now initial altitude is 6,000 feet, or up to 6,000 feet, and then up to 45,000. So I've not got 45,000 on the checklist, which means we're probably not going to make it, but then somehow we've got 170,000, which is simply not correct. So let's change that. Oh dear. Flight level 450. So it shouldn't say, this is also confusing, it shouldn't have, well, we'll see if that can make it in time. We got 200 nautical miles to get up to 45,000 feet there. And then 100, that shouldn't be 100. And so this is why it's important as well to go through the FMC properly, because the game, I remember it is a game and not a proper aircraft. In the real world, or it's quite close to the real thing in terms of performance. It's still not the real thing. Got to be sure not to mistake game procedures for actual real world procedures. So always check the FMC, always follow the aircraft manual in real life. Don't follow my advice and guidance. Don't follow this X checklist in real life either, because it's probably not accurate, and it isn't accurate. There's things missing off of it. Okay, 45,000. A long turn on the knob. Well, we will. I don't know what cleared alt is, but we're setting it at 450. Now, if you remember, the HBA is 1023. Okay, that's okay, we'll do that in a sec. Minimum's barrow again down here. Let's set it to barometric. 1,000 feet. So we're at 1280 just about. We're going to set it to 2480. So that's 1,000 feet above. 2480. Okay, so startup preparation is going to be... So we've done our preliminary checks and now we're doing a startup. So let's get the beacons on. Okay, interesting. It's following a proper procedure now because we have to have enough sufficient air from the APU to start the engine. So packs off. Right, we're going for a right engine start. Let's do this. Started. Let's wait. There's 10%. Idle engine. Okay, we'll wait until it gets to the appropriate one. 60 plus on the percentage, and 2% is here, so we're at 50. Usually it's about 246 on the first digit. You would expect. So that's 60%. Okay, left engine start. Let's keep an eye on this. And 2%. Introduce the fuel relatively quickly on the Citation X. Okay, check the fuel page. Looks pretty good. Our ICAS system over here for fuel. So fuel flow here is not actually on the ICAS page, so you want to check it on the right hand side. It's 400 on this, 540 on each. That's in pounds. Okay, we want check. We have 3000 psi. Okay, engine bleed air, low pressure. That's an interesting checklist item. Cockpit backs back on. Okay, normal. Yeah, 45,000. Confirm that with a co-pilot, 45,000. Pitot heats. Okay, so we're doing the flaps. Let's go for a surface control check. So let's check the control positions. Pitch trim. So we want it in green as standard. Check. Neutral. Okay, now it's flight control check. So I've got a new view with this high up view, which will be helpful. So ailerons. Oh, free movement. Oh, we want roll control, free movement, pitch control. Yeah. Okay. Check. So that's good. Right, so now we're getting before taxi checklist complete, and we can call out we're going to be taxiing runway 30. So we're waiting to do the so see there it even comes with ATC taxi clearance. That's a good chance for us to start moving. There's no ATC available. We're on Unicom. I don't think there's any other aircraft here. Somebody else just took off before from runway. I think they took off. Right, we've got runway 30 programmed, but people are taking off, landing on runway 12. So this is why VATSIM could be a pain as well, because the runway takeoff and landing place is never clear. It's never clear at all. Even if you click on the airport, it won't tell you what the active runway is clearly, and it's very difficult to find it. It should have it on the top of each airport, or it should give you an indication somewhere. Well, we're going to go ahead and taxi to runway 30. We're taking off from that runway regardless of what other people are doing. Beautiful plane. Do we need pushback? I think we do, because the taxi line doesn't exist. We need a pushback, so we'll get the pushback. Better pushback another plug-in. Okay, so when they don't have accents, they just revert to the American accent. Okay, I can't pronounce the airport name, I've just realised. So I think we're going to be making do with... I don't know how to pronounce that. I should have practiced or checked beforehand. Ljubljana. I really don't know. That aircraft looks like he's landing on the wrong runway again. That could be normal. So he's connecting to the aircraft. We'll get the push back. This is for the parking. Well, let's pre-plan our pushback first. Actually, no, let's release the brake. So he's going to suck us in to the machine, and then he's going to lift us up and push us back. I think that aircraft's going round. Okay, so it must be runway 30. He looked like he was coming into land. Unless he is, people fly like madman on this thing. So we'll push back. I think these are probably the best plugins you can get for the game, and they certainly make it a lot more realistic. I actually recommend them. Okay, pushback started. Yeah, so I recommend them. The plugins I have explained are not many. I have Oh, apologies. So taxi light shouldn't be on until we've pushed back. Yeah, so I have better pushback, which is a really good one. You can have a custom position pushback. I mean, the default X-plane pushback works well, but for custom aircraft like the Zebra mod, you do need better pushback. That's one I recommend. The second one is Aviation Tablet. I didn't use it before, but now I do, and it's really good for bringing up your flight plan on and download. You download your sim brief, and you can bring up your flight plan on Aviation Tablet. It's like a real pilot would use. It has a built-in map feature. I'll just show you. I have a quick key now, so I can press it. If you go onto map, you can see a map of the area. So that's really cool. And then if you go back onto charts, it'll just take you back to your flight plan. Again, a really cool feature. You can also go onto aircraft and bring up an aircraft chat list there, which I did use. There's a notes page which will be saved. But in general, yeah, I recommend the Aviation Tablet. It's what a real pilot would use, and it would increase the realism. Then there's Xpilot. So Xpilot's a plugin that will allow you to connect to the VATSIM network. Once you connect to the VATSIM network, you'll have access to, like most of the time there's not ATC controllers on, but you will have access to other pilots on the network, and when ATC is available, you will have access to realistic ATC services. So just be aware that it is quite, it's not just a game, it's quite realistic on VATSIM, so you will need practice. So that's 3 plugins that I have and recommend for X-Plane 12, and X Checklist, the new one I downloaded yesterday. Completely recommended. Increases the realisticness of the operations, makes the aircraft functional. Make sure you don't miss anything on the checklist, at least, because you have someone to read it out to you. It's free to download. The checklist for Citation X was free. You can probably download others for other aircraft, but so far for this particular aircraft, this is what I'm looking for. So those are the particular plugins. I don't have any scenery plugins or anything like that. Right, let's get taxi in. So taxi light can come on when he's disconnected. And we taxi to runway 30. Let's taxi down Papa. Let's check the runway list. So yeah, it looks like we taxi down Echo 1, Papa, and then Alpha. Thank you very much. So now we can turn the taxi light back on. You'll notice the checklist did actually get ticked off, even though I wasn't ready to take off. But that doesn't matter. We still need to test the brakes. And we would actually have to check things like the reverse thrusters as well. Although I'm not sure how realistic that checklist item would be. It's not always standard practice to deploy them on the ground. One cool feature that would be good is if we could make this disappear and make it invisible. But then again, if we did, it would cause us to miss the items. Even though it's getting read out, we wouldn't know entirely what to do. This right hand side is us, the captain, the left hand side is the co-pilot. Yeah, and the aircraft is also moving slower now. We've got 10 people on board for real. Now we've managed to sort of weight and balance out. The aircraft moves slower, and it's a much more enjoyable experience. So I think Ace Plane is pretty good when you can get, you know, those plugins to make it more realistic. We did about 35 to 40 minutes startup time, which is not bad. It's slightly over what we take. I think we usually take 20 to 25 minutes. So yeah, in future flights on the stream, if you enjoy realism, we'll be doing more checklist flights, full checklist, that is, from preliminary to shutdown. It'll probably be down Alpha, which is the taxiway that we're on now, to holding point Alpha 1 all the way to the end. A huge amount of parking at this airport. There's a lot of oh, there's a cool fighter jets over there. Yeah, some cool fighter jets, some a lot of Cirrus Vision jets, and it's quite flat, but in general it's a beautiful place. It's surrounded by low-level mountains, I would say. We do have a crosswind, you can see it there. We'll have to do aileron into the wind for this takeoff. Be bearing in mind, don't go over 20. Trying not to go too fast on taxiing either. So we've got flight level change selected. We don't want that checked. We want vertical navigation checked. But flight level change is remaining on there for the time being as well. Probably for when we engage the autopilot, and it'll automatically lock on to the flight plan vertical path. So steep turn there to the west, so towards France, Nice. We have a few countries to go over before we get there. Okay, there's holding point Charlie. It's looking warm here as well. We're already at 21 degrees. What's the cockpit at? It's cooled down nicely to 15. So what we're going to do, we're not going to get our takeoff clearance and then take some to the runway. We're going to hold short. We're going to do the checklist and then we're going to enter the runway. So we'll hold short here. This is not holding point Alpha, it's holding point Bravo. Okay, so let's do the pre-takeoff checklist. We're going to assume that we've just got radio clearance. I'm going to just not call it out because I can't pronounce it. We are in the most isolated airport, I think, in the bulk in this region. Now, just to give you context, the surrounding countries, I think this is Croatia down there. And then of course to the west, east is some other one. Up north, Austria, I think. Yes, Austria. And of course to the west, Italy, and then France. So we're pretty close. Slovenia is a very small country. It's almost as small as Luxembourg. So let's get on with the checklist. Ground recognition anti-collision lights, so that'll be strobes. Check. Let's turn them on. Off. Okay, so we're putting TCAS on. This is good. Right, so it wants us to release parking brake and taxi onto the runway. And then it wants us... The thing is with the pedal brakes, I can't do that because I've got no pedals. So I make do with the click button or the... Well, whatever button I've got assigned. It's usually the brake button, A, for the brakes on an aircraft. It doesn't do the pedal brakes, it does the parking brake to minimal effort, which is absolutely sufficient. And an Xbox controller, I actually highly recommend a controller, Xbox controller, over a mouse and keyboard. Okay, we're going to do a smooth taxi. It wants us to enter the runway and line up, which is a normal thing to do. We're going to, if we had... Well, it's a normal... Sometimes it's a normal thing to do. A lot of the times people get cleared to take off from the holding point, and they'll just taxi straight out and take off. Well, we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to shut the item off. So we're going to hold the brakes full. We're going to assume we're holding pedal brakes. Check it off. Okay, now we're setting the N1 to 40%, which is standard procedures. Just let the M1 build up. Check. Yeah. Release. Okay, take off. Let's take off position to TO, take off. We're on the rollout. Check. It's going to happen faster than the checklist at this point. So we're going to rotate in a sec. So there's V1, rotate. Oh, it says it on the checklist, so that's good. Check, gear up. Okay, this is good. The checklist is actually pretty good on takeoff. I thought it was going to be a bit slow. Engaged. Check. We're climbing about 210, so I'm going to leave them on for a little bit longer. If we're going, we're going straight up to 450. We can change it to 250, 240. And what that'll do, that'll allow us to retract the flaps safely. Otherwise, we're going to be too slow and we're going to end up stalling. I wouldn't say, I mean, it should be over 170 retracted, but I like to leave it until about 220. So flaps up. Slats can usually be extended a lot longer, so about 230. Slats up. Okay, throttle lever, climb position. Let's check the positive rate. Check. I'm going to increase that rate up to 2,000 feet a minute. Transition level, not quite yet. We'll have to wait to the transition level, standard transition, which is 10,500 feet. This checklist is really amazing. I'm loving it. It's so much more realistic, and to be able to stream to you guys is a pleasure. I mean, it's making this flight so much more enjoyable to have that virtual co-pilot on board. I mean, it really is. It's fascinating how they can make such a complex system on a computer. So we won't start the over 10,000 checklist until we're at the transition altitude. We've passed it, so it's at standard pressure. Check. Okay, we can turn those off. Okay, seatbelt signs off. Okay, the APU's coming off at last. So let's turn the APU bleed air off. Off. Let's turn the APU off now, so that's standard procedure as well. You wouldn't have the APU on above 11, usually 10 or 11,000 feet. You would turn it off around that altitude, so the engine has sufficient power to take off in case there's a failure. If there is a failure, we can rely on the APU. Okay, so that's off. So APU RPM will go down to 0, and we'll turn the APU master switch off. Off. Okay, we wait till 18,000 feet. So the takeoff was, I thought it was going to be a fast thing. We'd miss the checklist would be slow, but actually it worked out. I think it works out better because we turned the autopilot on so early. I like to fly the hand fly departures and the approach, so it wouldn't be compatible with the checklist. But if we follow the checklist to a T, we stick on that autopilot on about 1,000 feet, which is not much. Let's just wait. We're past 18,000. I can already see we have an engine sync option, which is realistic. So we sync the engine to the fan. That's a realistic choice. Okay, we do the half bank. Okay, so that's actually the cruise position. My mistake. But we are going in the straight line, so we can keep half bank on. We won't set cruise thrust until we're about, well, when we're at cruise 242, flight level 450. We're climbing at 250. That's not the maximum. So I have actually got another checklist. Let me show you where we can refer to the best rate of climb. So I have it on something called, yeah, in my aircraft folder I have a checklist which I downloaded, and it gives you the maximum. Although to be honest, you can find that information, this checklist, online for free. It's kind of detailed, but it's a different order. There's actually quite a few things missing off of it, and a few discrepancies there. But in general, it's a pretty good one if you're a beginner. So yeah, on that list, it has a list of speeds, maximum climbing things, and this is the Flight Simulator X checklist, if you remember, but it's been modified by someone called Frank White. Yeah, so it's originally for the Citation X Flight Simulator X. You could tell by the view reference section, and as someone who played that game, I recognised it a mile off. Modified for the Citation X on X-Plane 12. Best rated climb 300, best angular climb 270, so we want to be about 270. We'll go back to FMS plans to keep the realism. If you want to see more of these flights with the checklist, then please let me know. I know they're very popular compared to just a standard flight with ATC at least. So we'll climb at 270. Max rate of climb. That'll also allow us to maintain sufficient airspeed as the altitude increases. So we're pressurized now, 8,000 feet. We're going to turn that down. We're going to leave that on normal. We're not gonna check that on. There's no way to uncheck that option, so that's very interesting. Estimated flight time was 1 hour and 4 minutes. Air time 1 hour 2 minutes block time. So that'd be an hour. Yeah, an hour's air time, half an hour start up. Absolutely normal. currently at flight level 373. Nearly left flight level 450. As you can see on the top, I've changed the frame rate display. So I did turn it off briefly from streams, but now it's back on. It's not as prominent. It's definitely not an X-Plane. It's not the X-Plane FPS viewer. It's the computer viewer, FPS viewer, and it's now on the top right. And it's very small, and it says about, it's varying, but it's above, most of the time it's above 50. Bearing in mind I'm capped at 60 FPS to make sure the stream goes as smooth as possible. So yeah, we've gone over the land of Slovenia. We've left the Slovenian land. Now we're going over this lovely, beautiful place. Oh, you got the mountains on the right there. That's cool. This is not in the checklist. Okay, let's keep an eye on the ATC. There's none available. I'm hoping somebody will be available in the France, Nice area. And I flew into Zurich the other night, not on a stream, of course. There was plenty of people at the airport to accommodate ATC. Anyway, yeah, mountains down there. So we're in Italy now. And this is Venice, about to fly over. Okay, so that's really cool. We can hear the traffic there. I wonder if I should give an announcement that I'm transitioning their airspace. I mean, it would make sense if they were in the air, but they're still on the ground, actually. I don't know if we can see them or not. They're right below us at our 12 o'clock position. So the airport is not visible, but it's down there. Very cool to transition Lips, though. And obviously, Lips is Venice in Italy, if you don't know. Over to the left. Actually, one of the places I have flown is... yeah, one of the airports is Lips, and there's another one up to the north called Milano Alpenzo. Very cool airport to take off from. So since we're at 40,000 feet, the ascent is slowing down considerably. I'll be surprised if we get to 450. Keep an eye on the FMC flight plan, altitude. So we have 450 for quite a while until Otaki. Mercu and then Otaki. At the moment we have 180 miles to go, so quite the distance. Now it's going to be interesting. We've got a Mac trim on. Is it going to switch to the Mac on the speed indication? Because at this point it probably should have. Otaki down to 9,000. Double check the arrival. I want to make sure the arrival is correct. Module 1 Zulu departure, we've done that. Bordy 7 Romeo. Bordy 7 Romeo arrival. Check. I can't see it on the flight plan, it just says Bordy. Well, that's 45,000. I think we'll probably have to start descending. Let's put flight level 200 in. The question is, can we get down 20,000 feet in 20 nautical miles? We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a very steep descent. Anyway, bank, throttle lever, still climbing. Cool. We may be able to see it from the rear end. Or passenger view, actually. That'll be cool. Too far behind us. The LJLJ is in the air, and we've got Ryanair taking off. Look at our aircraft, though. It's just absolutely soaring through these Italian skies at the moment. Barely any crosswind, barely any wind at all at this altitude. Double check the pressurization is good. So yeah, another option on the checklist which doesn't pop up. So obviously the interior master switch wasn't on the checklist. It's pretty inclusive though for somebody who wants to start out on a flight sim and who wants to bring their level of realism to the next level. Who wants to upgrade their flight experience. So it didn't include interior master switch. It hasn't included the isolation switches. It didn't include a reverse thruster check on the ground or a brake check. It just said put pedal brakes on the runway, but that's not a proper brake check. You need to be checking it on the taxiway along with the reverse thrusters. The isolation valve should be closed or should be changed. They didn't have any of that. She should be a bit more in there, and also the anti-ice. There was no option on that checklist to turn the anti-ice on the ascent, but we should be told either on the ascent, meaning we climb, or the cruise, it should say anti-ice on as required. So, although the checklist is good and it's pretty comprehensive, it is missing things off, and I think very essential things like the isolation valve, the reverse thruster check, the anti-ice option. Those are very important because if you're flying like I am through 57 degrees minus Celsius, that is, you want the anti-ice on. Otherwise you're going to end up freezing and the aircraft wings will stall because there's not enough airflow over them. So that's just 2 or 3 things they could be added in. I can't customize the list myself. I have to rely on the download. Have to rely on the download for the checklist. Of course, if somebody wants to make their own checklist and make it a bit more comprehensive, I suppose they could. And they could make it into a clickable C-list file, whatever you want to call it, and then transfer it into explain checklist as well. Okay, back into the Handy Aviation tablet map view. Verona to the north. Lips behind us. Of course, Austria there to the north as well. Would probably be Innsbruck in there somewhere. Zurich's just up there. That's where I flew to the other night. Beautiful airport. So it seems like we're going to be flying through the Valley of Mountains, although we're high enough to avoid them. Oh, there's Nice. So it's not that far. There's the capital of Slovenia. The unpronounceable yet beautiful city. All the way across to Nice. Almost halfway there. About 1,000 feet to go. Slow down to below 250 knots now. A little bit concerning. We should have also changed. It should have changed to Mach rather than airspeed. Can't change it ourselves. So let's wait till it gets to 450. I hope it changes. Otherwise, it's going to be speeding up to 270, which is too fast. And with regards to the seatbelt option, Seatbelt lights, again, just merely lights, safety, passenger safety, which suggests a taxi takeoff or landing situation. And that's probably a cue for the onboard stewardess to brief the passengers as well if there's one on board. Bearing in mind we have got 8 passenger seats in the back, although the configuration doesn't really allow for a cabin crew, to be honest. It's unless a cabin crew is willing to sit in one of these seats, but if it was a full plane it wouldn't be appropriate. Okay, there's 45,000 feet. We just about made it, and it's telling us to speed up to 300 knots, which is going to overspeed. We can't select the max, so it should automatically switch to a max speed rather than an airspeed. So it's saying 300 in the speed CMD, but 0.94 down here at Anoba. So a potential bug in the game. If you click CO, it's not changing, and it will reduce the thrust cruise position. Okay, altitude knob, so that's in descent. I'm going to leave the checklist open so you can see it. But because we're going to be descending rapidly, we're going to be descending probably straight in, I'd suspect, is the runway 04 left. We can just brief ourselves now. So when we get down, the most important things start to happen below 18,000 feet. You can see things like the bank limiter will be off. Then we start the AP up again. And then below 10,000 feet. So the descent is mostly just engine sinks off. Vertical navigation mode. Altitude knob. Passing over another one of my favourite airports in Italy called Genoa. Or Genoa. One of my favourites. Lima India Mike Juliet. Another highly recommended airport to use with the Citation X. Just passing over that, which means you're not got far to Nice. There's Nice in the distance. I think it's looking pretty bit, yeah, nice and busy. Nice amount of traffic in the area. We may have to keep an eye out. They're actually all coming straight into us. So we'll be circling around for 04 left. And we can set the RLS when we get a bit closer. We'll be on the flight plan as well. I really hope there's ATC available somewhere in this area. So we're going to check the VATSIM. I mean, it is early on a Sunday morning, so it's only 10 o'clock. It's unlikely that anybody's going to be awake in France at 11 AM. No, there's nobody available in the area. There's nobody available. There's a lot of Germans online though, so Guten Morgen. Yes, Germany's very busy. And LJLJ, that's another interesting airport choice. We'll have to fly from places with ATC in the future. I'll have to pre-plan for those areas that have an ATC available. Yeah, so Slovenia, we've basically gone across Italy, and that's it. That was the only country we needed to go through was Italy, and we're nearly there. Today we're actually Charlie 4 Foxtrot Lima, not 22 Bravo Echo. Yeah, a lot of traffic in the vicinity. We'll have to keep an eye out. I think people are taking on runway 0. Well, we got somebody who's landed on runway 22, but it's runway 4 for London. On my flight plan, that is. I hope. Let's check in the other aircraft in the vicinity. They've got... It looks like they're going in for runway 22. I don't know why. Another pain is they don't have the information available in front of you. It should... My advice to VATSIM, or VATSIM Radar, have that information. Yeah, VATSIM, put the information on departure runway right at the top of the airport name and make it easy to find. It may also because those aircraft aren't following the wind and they're not following the flight plans properly, because SimBrief gave me the VATSIM flight plan for which would be suitable for VATSIM. It said it would be suitable for VATSIM at least. Okay, so we got someone who did take off from runway 04, but everyone else seems to have landed runway 22, so 404 is correct, as I thought it was. Because you wouldn't have aircraft taking off and landing in the opposite directions like that. So yeah, we're going to stick with runway 04. We're correct in what we're doing. It's probably because they know there's no control, there's no managers on VATSIM like usual, so there's nobody here to control people's mistakes and make sure they do things correctly. Okay, we're at the top of the descent yet. Just about. And then we're going to descend down to 9,000, 10,000 feet. Okay, we're going to do that now. Well, we'll wait until it descends 9,000 feet. That'll be alright. Let's check the QNH 1020. If I select vertical speed, flight level change, it's not going to be 180 on the speed. As we set on takeoff, I think the flight change for takeoff is probably accurate, but not for landing. And final height, 4,000 feet. So from Neres down to the runway, it looks like we're free flying it. Although we'll use the ILS if we can do. In fact, let's select ILS on the approach. 04 left. So we've connected the Neres to the final. It doesn't look like there's a white line. There's a blue line that suggests it's a hand-flown approach. No, it doesn't. It suggests the runway isn't even the same direction. Okay, so if we had to continue straight on from Neres, we would have been going the wrong direction. We'll go up left, then we'll turn on to final. Final altitude height, 4,000 feet. Okay, descend at Mercu. I think we probably should start. Let's change the flight level there to 300 and start to descend when we get a bit closer. So the top of descent would change now based on our altitude. Go around, it's going to be straight back up to 4,000 feet. We'll brief closer to the runway. There's a holding pattern there should we need it. Okay, so we're skipping that. We're going to be going straight round to Merkel. Half bank is on, that might be why we've done that. And we're going to reduce the idle, the engines because we're descending. Or reduce the thrust at least a little bit. Yeah, so we're coming down 04 left. So I thought there was another plane landing. Let's hope they keep taking off the right direction. They took off from runway 04 before and then landed. Someone landed the wrong runway, I think, which is normal. We're going to program that into navigation 2. We don't need the ILS off of this, but I'm going to check it anyway. 1995. Bit hit and miss when you program it manually as well. Yeah, judging by the way he's taxiing, we've seen before on VATSIM that people can fly backwards and sideways. It's very peculiar. Transition level might be important. Flight level 6,000. Transition altitude 5,000 feet. Reduce that thrust right down now. We need to get down pretty quick. It's going to take us all the way down to downwind leg. This is sort of downwind leg at an angle. The airport should be stuff to the right of us. Yeah, there's Nice. You can see the aircraft parked up. Clear the runways. Let's pray that the checklist is effective and useful on the landing as it was on the takeoff. I hope it's as comprehensive. Albeit a few things were missing, but that's still not bother at all. So the descent checklist, I can see there's no anti-ice option on there, so we're going to go ahead and do that ourselves. Still minus 55 outside. Let's keep it on until we're about 10,000 feet. Okay, now we're on the descent. Actually, that's interesting. So it didn't change the Mach on cruise like it should have, but it's changed the Mach on descent. That's very interesting. So you would expect it to be on Mach on cruise and then Mach on descent. It is kind of strange actually. So maybe there's a fixable issue in there for the update on X-Plane 12. I don't know if the new version is ready to be used properly yet. I think it's still in like a beta testing mode. Hey, welcome in, find us. Good morning. Enjoying the Sunday, yes, very much. Enjoying the X checklist for X-Plane 12, giving a little bit of a review and an overview of the procedures. It's been one of the best, most realistic things to have downloaded for X-Plane 12. It takes the realism to a whole nother level. And I'm going to be using it primarily on the Citation X for future flights because it's, to be frank, it's very, very good. It's on par with a realistic checklist, real world checklist. I hope you're having a good Sunday morning. I hope you've had a nice church service if you went, or if you're going. I appreciate this is not the usual stream time, but I wanted to get a nice early stream in so I could be free to do things later on, and plus it's been super warm and the PC's been heating up too much, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. Okay, we're going to turn half bank off early, just because we're not turning around too quickly. We're really struggling to get around that corner, so now it's turning back to the other waypoint, and then it'll go around again. The half bank put a real dent into that. It does say keep it on. I think below 18,000. Yeah, below 18,000 it'll be coming off. I'm glad to hear it. I think yesterday it appeared cooler, but then it ended up warmer than the day before. So it's been hitting about 29, 28, 29 Celsius. And in England, when it's warm, the heat tends to linger, so it will be hot throughout the entire night as well. And of course, the PC was struggling with the heat; it kept closing down X-Plane 12, so I decided it was best not to stream it. Okay, we circled out to lose some altitude. I thought there was another aircraft landing. I think it might be I thought it was DHL that was coming down to Nice. He might still turn in for final. The other aircraft seems to have touched down with no issues. So we're losing altitude. We'll go down to 11,000 feet. It's giving us 4,000 feet. Maybe we are better off actually descending all the way down. At least that way we'll guarantee that we're low enough. And the checklist can be completed, of course, as we go back down past below 18,000 feet. We'll start the descent checklist for the pre-landing. Try and re-establish ourselves on the LNAV. A lateral navigation path, of course. Neres. Down to Lempu, which is final. And then final. Okay, we're below 18,000. Let's turn the engine sync off. Okay, bank is off as well. Right, it's time to get the APU back on. Let's go for the APU start. We'll wait for that to kick into gear, and we'll get the generator on, etc. and the bleed air on the max cool as it says on the checklist. Okay. On. Maximum cool. Copilot will do that. Okay, so now we wait till 10,000 feet and then we'll probably have to switch some more lights on. I can already see landing lights, seatbelt lights. We're doing these set minimums, and barometric is, if we check our flight plan, it's 1020 for Nice. 04 left, 1020. We're going to preliminary set that now, or preset that on the standby instruments. In fact, I'm going to set it down here as well, 1020. And then we'll just change it. Even though I think the transition level is about 5,000 feet. The FMC, again, the FMC is a little bit all over the place, not quite functional as it should be. 350 is not a correct speed. We should be slowing down to stuff like 250, but you can't change the speed, unfortunately. Even on performance and descent, there's no option to do it. Yeah, here we come. Looks like somebody is actually, somebody might have just landed on runway 22 again. Unless they're aborting takeoff. There's nothing on VATSIM communications at the moment. Absolutely nothing. I think the people coming into Nice had landed on the wrong runway. That's probably filed their flight plan at the wrong time, so it's giving them, obviously the arrival and things change, and it would differ from when they filed it. We're coming into runway 04 left, which is correct when we filed the flight plan this morning. Let's go ahead and give Nice. Let's go and give Unicom an announcement that Charlie Foxtrot Lima is on the Boar 7 Romeo arrival. Current flight level 147. Nice traffic, Charlie 4 Foxtrot Lima descending through flight level 144 on the Board 7 Romeo arrival. It may stand for Bordeaux. I haven't checked the IFR waypoints, so I wouldn't know. Would it be up there? And if we went through Merkur, we're going to go through. Well, we went through all the waypoints correctly. Yeah, there's Bordy there. IFR view is always very useful as well. If the checklist works out as quick as it did on takeoff, it means we're going to have a successful landing. If not, I'll have to improvise. I'll have to do it at my own speed because the workload increases on landing, so you have to be quick. Especially if it's short to final, which it is. So we're literally going for Lempu and then final. I may extend that outwards because from Lempu to final it's not very far at all actually. Same 3 nautical miles there. So we might have to extend it the downwind leg just off to the west. As you can see. Let's do that. Let's just divert left slightly to lose some altitude as well. We set the FMC speed, so you should be slowing down to about 240. We'll remember what it is. 240. VNAV back on. I'm going to stick Lempu at the top. And that way we can go straight in to Lempu and then land runway 04 left. Okay, there's 10,000 feet. We're going to reduce that thrust down, reduce our speed to 240 knots. Okay, let's get the lander lights. Check. Seatbelt signs coming on. Local QNH set. Let's just set it now so we don't forget. Okay, we need to set baro minimums. So we go down here. We had barometric on takeoff. Now we change it to let's set radio. Okay, so approach and landing. Now we're getting into the checklist, which should be pretty quick because the approach is going to be quick. Well, we don't need to worry about the reason the speed is less than 250 is because we're below 10,000. The speed on approach is realistically more likely to be 210 or 180. Between 180 and 210. Keep an eye out for other traffic. We're going to be turning final in a second. I hope somebody doesn't land opposite to us. I'm pretty confident in the Simbury flight planner downloaded. Pretty confident that it's accurate and correct. People do 5 flight plans the night before, and it's not the correct date for the day after when they fly. So we'll keep doing it. Let's maintain 210. Can't change the speed yet. Now I would like to fly this approach manually, but I want to do the chat list properly. So we're going to do LNAV on. Should initiate the turn to Lempu, slowing down to about 210. Do flight level change. It's not descending quick enough. What we are going to do though is take this opportunity to lower the slats. Keep an eye out for the runway. Co-pilot's got a better view of it. I think that's the airport over there. Not really going towards it. It's going direct to Lempu. Right, so there's a few things kind of going wrong on X-Plane 12 at the moment. It's pointing towards the finder. We need to go in direct to Lempu. Lost the height in time. Let's do a bit more chat. Let's get 5 degrees of flaps down. This will be the approach chat list because we're on base leg. Keep an eye out for the airport. Okay, not yet. We're not on final. When we get on final, we're going to do that. Let's just check the RLS frequency. 04 left, 12995. Check. So that should be programmed in. Again, when you enter it manually, sometimes it doesn't work. So just bear that in mind. You can always change it. I can already see it's not going to line up with it. So sometimes you have to go on the map and click it yourself. Anti-ice can come off. It's a hot 18 degrees in Nice. Lateral navigation back on. We can turn on to final. And we'll give a call out. Nice traffic, Charlie 4, Foxtrot Lima, turning final, runway 04 left. Okay, autopilot approach mode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select approach navigation now. So we know that it's locked on and it'll follow the localizer. Brilliant, so that pilot's doing it correctly. He's landing on the right runway. He's going to 04 right for takeoff. Sorry, I'm landing the right one. He's going to the right one for takeoff. We're going to turn final. Now we've called final, so we've given him the advance notice. As soon as we turn on, I'm going to turn on the approach mode. We're already on the localizer, so let's switch it on now. Less than 210, that's normal. So now we're on the approach, ladies and gentlemen. The checklist has been absolutely beautiful so far. Beautiful slash amazing. Extremely useful. I appreciate it's been a long flight as well, as in it almost 2 hours. What a good time to review and process the whole procedure. Okay, so finally we'll reduce that speed down to 210. Check our V speeds. Performance data landing. Okay, VAP to 120. Quite a steep descent here at Nice. Nice traffic, Charlie 4, Foxtrot Lima, fully established ILS 04 left. Continuing approach. Okay, flaps 15. If you're watching this on replay mode, give me some feedback. Give X checklist a feedback as well. So far, it's a 5-star plugin. Okay, landing gear. Less than 180 degrees at 180 knots. We'll keep it about 180 for now. Gear down will come down within 5 nautical miles, or just about. So we maintain this speed. We're going to turn the autopilot off by the looks of it. I'm just planning ahead, of course, reading the checklist ahead. I already know it to some extent off by heart. So we disconnect the autopilot about 500 feet, which is low. Decision, well, minimum's 200 feet. Radio. I have announced that I'm established and I'm landing. So he should be holding short. 04 left. Okay, great. He's really courteous, actually. That's one thing about the French. Very courteous, very polite, and they're always very nice at Nice Airport. Especially the VATSIM controllers. They do a great job. It's a shame we got no controllers on, though, this time. Okay, we're slowing down to below 180. Let's put the gear down. Slightly off center. We have minimal crosswind, by the way. Check. Check. 35 degrees. We're going to have to take this manual in a sec because we're slowing down quite rapidly. I'm going to disconnect the autopilot now and the yaw damper because we're below. We're on the ILS established. I might as well do it. We've got to maintain VAP though. I'm well too fast. Don't forget in Nice it's over water, so the perception of the runway is going to be a little bit skewed. Just follow the glide slope on the green arrows. Disconnected. We're not on the rollout. We're not on the touchdown just yet, so we keep it at 46. We're not just over 10 knots over VAP as well. Okay, below glide slope. Pitch up to maintain it. Don't descend too much. Okay, there we go. Slightly low. Idle the engine. Reverses. Yeah, so we're doing good. Reverse thrusters off. Check. Disengaged. We'll do that in a second when we get into the taxi place. Let's just taxi under the taxi point and we'll get the after takeoff checklist. After landing checklist completed, taxi past the holding point. We're going to plan ahead for the general aviation. I think it's down the left hand side. So we'll have to Yeah, so we'll go down, uniform, we'll taxi down the general aviation ramp. Nice traffic, Charlie 4, Foxtrot Lima, clear runway 04 left, taxi into general aviation parking via uniform and November. Right, let's do the after landing checklist while we're on the runways. I just passed the threshold, Peter was off. Okay, strobes off. Okay, transponder, that's a good option. Coming on. Off. Retracted. Flaps. That's a very good checklist there for shutdown. Right, so we're going to do the shutdown checklist next. We've done pretty much everything. So the window heat probably comes off in shutdown mode. I can see it on the list, window heat. That was actually not a bad landing considering we had the checklist to distract us. We are going to follow the taxi route we just said, which is uniform to November general aviation parking. If you like this stream, please support it or turn up to more of them. That would be a good way to show that you like them. Turn up to more of them and give your opinions on landings, takeoffs, talk about your favourite aircraft, etc. Love the livery of this Citation X, it's absolutely incredible. I'll have to try a checklist for the Zebo Mod 737 in the future as well. One option that's interesting in landing is taking the yaw damper off. I've usually been landing with it on, and I think most pilots probably would as well. Anyway, Mach trim should be off as well as the others. Okay, have a nice trip to this gentleman departing 04 right. I think you just so taking off, landing the right runway. We're the ones who know what we're doing. I think the other ones were just messing around, which is not uncommon on VATSIM network. We don't need gates, we need general aviation parking. It's going to be right at the end there to the GA ramp. Hey, here's November. A familiar place you will recognise from previous streams. We've parked up here before and we've dispatched from here as well. I'm going to take the left hand turn. There's usually a parking spot here where we spawn in. Although I've never seen a Citation X on the ramp in X-Plane 12, so you have to let me know if you've seen it. Let's take the correct turning. Swing the nose around. Okay, he's clear the runway. I'm going to go right to the front. Like I say, there's a few options and checklist items missing, which I would obviously expect there to be on there, but it's a matter of common sense. You have to know what needs to be switched off, so we'll switch. Of course, the master switch interior will come off, which is not mentioned, but it's still an important option. We're going to turn, rather than turn the emergency exit lights off, so this doesn't have a standby mode, it simply says shut down. We're going to leave, I don't know, I'll turn the emergency lights on. But I'll do it as a proper shutdown. Okay, just about parked up there on the ramp. Let's get the checklist done. So taxi lights off is set. Let's cut them off. Let's wait for the engines to cool down. Monitor the engine as well while we do that. Notice fuel bump boosters on left because that's for the APU unit. The left side uses a lot more systems than the right, especially the battery and other things. Okay, so that'll be the beacon, the recognition lights. We turn that off and the recognition off. It's recognition. We'll leave recognition on until it tells us. Aircraft doors, we can open them. Everyone's free to get on their private limousine and go wherever they're going. Okay, seatbelt signs. Au revoir. Right, so this is for a full shutdown. Let's just do it for a full shutdown. Okay, off. I'll have to wait for it to reach 0. At this point, you're probably clear to turn the interior master switch off. I'd recommend you do it as well. You might want to set standard pressure on the Q&H as a courtesy as well. It tells you the pilot's coming in next. Off. Turn that off. Okay, cab packs and cockpit packs off. Off. Already off. A slight spelling mistake, windshield. Perhaps a German variation of the word. Anyway, it's windshield heat coming off. We also turn the windshield air off. It doesn't mention windshield air in the checklist, but we'll do that. Off. So I'm going to stick it down to on for the time being and just take it off. Off as well. Okay, fuel boost off. You can hear it quieting down. Okay, standby power. Off. 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 Okay, we've done that. Battery's coming off. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the full X checklist. From preliminary checks to shutdown, the checklist is gone off because we've completed absolutely everything on it. I have left the emergency lights on, but we can switch them off to make that a complete shutdown. That has been a very good early morning, early Sunday flight. I'd say that's on par with a check ride in a flight sim. Highly realistic, highly recommended additional plugin for X-Plane 12 X checklist, and then just download the appropriate aircraft checklist to the aircraft file. I will be using it in the future. It will take up some screen space, but I think for the sake of realism, it's certainly worth the effort. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the regulars for being here. Thank you for everyone who watches this on backup and catch up. I hope the next flight is just as enjoyable, and have a fantastic weekend. Take care.